Hello and welcome to the Premier League Darts preview of myself, Harry Dome. Today we are coming to you from the wonderful Village Hotel here in Manchester, Cheadle, ahead of night 10 of the Premier League Darts 2025. Joining me, I am pleased to say, and I can't believe this is only the second time that we've actually had a social interaction with each other. I think sports broadcaster is disrespectful because darts, football, snooker. Abigail Davis, is there anything that you can't do?
I can't check out a 1:30.
I mean, I think there's another person at this table that can't do that at the same time as well. Is there any sport that you just don't do? Because the list...
I'm quite lucky because I only work in sports that I'm very passionate about. So they are the three sports that I've grown up absolutely adoring. So very, very fortunate that I work in those. I dabble in a bit of 9-ball pool now as well. Yep. That's slightly easier to play than snooker for me at the moment. So
well, snooker's so complex. I've never been able to understand snooker, even though I love a bit of Ronnie O'Sullivan and Jimmy White back in the day at the same time. And I forgot to put my intro because I thought of it on the train at the same time. Not meaning to boost your ego. The best barnet in sport. Seriously, the best barnet in sport.
And it's quite low today, so people are going to be like, what?
No one even comes close. No one even comes close. Sorry, Emma Payton, the do is spectacular. Polly James at the same time as well. But I think, honestly...
I'd say Ryan Searler's probably got something to say about that, actually. You're disrespecting
the heavy metal. The heavy metal.
Put some respect on Ryan Searler's name.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But Abigail, it's an incredible venue that we're at today, this Village Hotel. Been lucky enough to go to so many over the country. You just look at the facilities, look around you. You've got your 50-inch tellies over there, perfect for watching the darts tomorrow night. You just go down that corridor over there, you got the darts. So you need a little break, yeah? Say, for instance, you're a big Luke Humphreys fan, Luke Littler fan. Oh, I could do better than that. Go on then, prove yourself. Get on the oche over there and start playing. The pub and grill, sensational at the same time as well. The food, and we're going to have a little bit of food later. Trust me when I say this, best food that I've ever had at a hotel in my entire life. Village Hotels, top of the range. They're good to me, they'll be good to you, and I mean, I'm just so grateful and thankful that they are a PDC sponsor, because I tell you what, long may it continue, and they've been so good to talkSPORT at the same time. Are you, do you fancy yourself on the oche against me later on or not?
Absolutely not.
No?
No. I have no confidence on the board at all.
I thought you were actually going to say absolutely, because you said it with such conviction there. I was like, fair play, we got ourselves a game, ladies and gentlemen. I think it would be a good, because even though we couldn't play in the World Cup with each other, because you're Welsh and I'm English, but I sort of feel like a ginger tag team.
A ginger off.
Yeah, a ginger off.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other ginger players that we could come up against who get into our team. Cameron Menzies at the same time. And
Matt Campbell.
Yep, Campbell at the same time. Menzies, before we get into the Premier League, I just want to give a big shout out to you, my friend. Pro Tour, and the form recently has been absolutely sensational. Before we hit record, we discuss, you look back to the Worlds and the grief that people have given him. You look back to the game against Mike De Decker at the same time as well, the theatrics and the checking out, which is all part of the game. I love it personally. You're always going to get some people that don't and slag it off. He's deserved this, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. 3 finals already this year. Picked up his second Pro Tour title against Peter Wright in the final. He was absolutely sensational. Averaged in excess of 107. But just picking up on that point you've just made, what on earth do people want? Because Cameron Menzies, he's too emotionally involved. Luke Littler, if he doesn't show emotional, he's not invested enough. If he does, then he's too invested. Gerwen Price, he celebrates too much and too loudly. What do they want? This is like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. What do you want from these players? If they all stopped this, you'd complain because they're all the same, they're all robots. So what do you want? I absolutely adore seeing these different personalities. And it creates that subplot, doesn't it? It creates that something different where, right, can he channel his emotions in the right way? People have said about Cameron Menzies in the past, oh, he'd be such a better player if he didn't do things like this up on stage. How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that that doesn't aid him and help him when he's up there?
Absolutely.
And I thoroughly enjoy it.
Well, what do they want? What do you people want? Let us know in the comment section just down below. Do you want some Elon Musk stroke bots to come and play a different world championships, and we could see 120 averages, which we're going to probably get to in the next 5 years, especially with everything that's going on in the juniors at the moment at the same time as well. Some phenomenal darts. But before we get to the Premier League, don't forget you can settle in for a night of live sport and great food at your nearest village hotel. There's 33 across the UK. Everything you need under one roof. Let's get into the action. Right, we've got to kick off with the opening game then. Chris Dobby versus Michael van Gerwen. Chris Dobby made it into the semi-finals last week, beat Luke Littler, who didn't have his greatest day over in Berlin. I think he'll admit that. Euro Tour as well at the same time for Chris Dobby. Early exit to Vessel Nyman. Pro Tour yesterday, 3 wins under his belt. I think he'll be happy with that. Playing again today in Leicester for Pro Tour 12. Need to mention at the same time as well, Luke Humphreys, Littler, MVG, all in action, Leicester today as well, ahead of the Premier League. I don't want to be harsh to Chris. I think he's a phenomenal player. Scoring power is top of the range. He's a great human being at the same time as well. Do you think he's looking at this now, going into week 10, and thinking my race is run a little bit?
I don't think he's there yet. I think he'll know, especially because of the scoring power you've just mentioned. He still has an opportunity, but it's his finishing. That is the thing that continues to be such a massive frustration for him. We saw it on the Euro Tour at the weekend. He looked really good in the opening few legs of his match against Wessel Nyman, but it was the double-in that let him down. That continues to be his Achilles heel. Yes, he picked up his first big win against Luke Littler on a TV stage last week, but then he had opportunities, didn't he, against Gerwen Price to win a couple more legs, to force the Iceman to bring out his best stuff, wasn't able to take them. I don't think the race is run for him just yet, but he does need to go far now. And taking on Michael van Gerwen, is this a good time to be facing MVG? Because we don't know what sort of Michael van Gerwen we're going to see. Yes, he played on the Pro Tour on Tuesday, lost in the first round. Yes, it was a mid-90s average, but you can't really deduce a great deal from that because it was such a small sample size.
I think Chris will probably be a bit annoyed with himself, like you mentioned about Gerwen Price at the same time, because Gerwen was coming into that Raw. He got a bye from Michael van Gerwen being out, and there's a thing of an atmosphere. Gerwen's always going to, soak up that atmosphere. We know what Price is like. I mean, he's a crowd favourite. You love him, you hate him. It's a cliche. Gerwen Price is like Marmite. I think it doesn't take a genius to work that one out at the same time. But I think he'd be disappointed in, probably the psychological element of it being, do you know what? I've had my first game. I've gotten into the crowd. I've gotten a win against Luke Littler, the current world champ. It's just missed opportunities, though, isn't it? And do you reckon he looks back on that? I mean, you've got to change quickly because you're going to Pro Tours, Euro Tours. But do you reckon he's looking back on that as a big missed opportunity and not making a final?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things when you look back at this campaign that lurk him. I think the match he played against Luke Littler earlier on in the campaign where he matched the Nuke in the scoring phase, just missed so many. I think he missed 12 darts at the outer ring. Could have picked up 2 points in that one. And then, as you said, it's the psychological element of taking on Gerwen Price. You can look at it from one way and say that the Iceman was coming in and knew that he didn't have to exert so much energy because he'd not played a game yet, but then for Chris Dobby, he wasn't coming in cold to that match. So, yes, an opportunity missed, but I think he'll see this as another blinding opportunity on Thursday night.
Ladies and gentlemen, the return of Michael van Gerwen, Manchester. Listen, the Green Machine is back. It was reported last week it was a shoulder injury, but I need to throw to my colleague to the left of me, who has a bit of an update on his so-called injury.
Yeah,
Abigail Davis.
Absolutely incredible. We talk about the athleticism within darts, and this injury really does epitomise it. So Vincent van der Voort has come out this week and said it wasn't a shoulder injury, ladies and gentlemen. It was, in fact, a neck injury that was sustained whilst trying on shirt. So I'm going to ask you now, Harry Durham, what is the strangest injury that you have picked up whilst doing something pretty mundane?
Strangest injury that I picked up in something pretty mundane. I want to say that 3 weeks ago when I was throwing darts in my living room, I, like a Gerwen Price, always dropping my darts, I got quite clammy hands. I was playing barefoot, it was just a boxers and t-shirt situation. I'm in my own house, I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean?
I'm scared about where this is going.
No, I know. I'm keeping the rest of it PG.
Okay.
Dart slipped out of my hands and it went into my big toe. And I've got to tell you, for at least about 3 or 4 days, it was tough to walk on. And I don't really like saying that to people, Abigail, because that's quite embarrassing at the same time. Because you get someone that's watching this being like, well, I tore both my quads whilst playing rugby or football at the same time. That's my greatest sporting injury and my worst at the same time. What have you got?
I mean, mine is probably getting stuck on a fence after a few beers, to be honest. It took me quite a while to get off.
I mean, that's what happens to teenagers growing up in Wales, for goodness sake.
I was
right?
32.
I thought you would have known better. I thought the rebellious years in Swansea in your youth, it would have been like, I don't know, a party in a field like a lot of teenagers that I used to do. Took it a bit too far or something like that. 32?
Yeah. It was last year.
You're so much better than that. What I'd like to know is what kind of shirts Michael was actually trying on at the same time as well.
Absolutely.
Are we going,
was it a turtleneck?
Yeah,
was it quite tight? Is that why?
Yeah. Was it a corduroy number?
Yeah.
Was it, a nice little like Oxford shirt? Did he have to go, I don't know, into Amsterdam to one of the finest tailors?
So many questions.
Was he putting on a T-shirt? Or was he... I don't know, trying on a new dart shirt.
Yeah, so many questions that we've been left with. We are going to have to get to the bottom of this, aren't we,
but
here in Manchester?
It's what I said to you earlier as well. The Dutch, and especially someone like Vincent van der Voort, they're so open and just come out with these like crazy stories. When you get one story, like it's a shoulder injury, and this is the truth, I just don't. There's no secrets with the Dutch, and that's what I absolutely love about someone like Vincent van der Voort at the same time as well, because he gives us all of these little nuggets.
Yeah, I absolutely adore it. But the other thing I would like to say on this is beware of the wounded animal in darts, because we have seen darts players over the years. Simon Whitlock with injuries, he goes into a tournament and you think, surely he's not going to be able to. Oh, he's won the tournament.
Yeah.
Michael Smith has won an event with gout. It doesn't always mean that they're going to perform badly.
No.
So that is one thing to bear in mind. But I do find it interesting with Michael van Gerwen. He's now the only player left in this Premier League field who hasn't won a title of some description in 2025.
Of course.
He has never made it to this stage of a Premier League campaign without winning a night. And those sort of things are really going to irk him, because we saw in the first few weeks, the first half of a campaign, that slow trickling of points, that's hugely beneficial. But we've reached the stage now where that's not quite enough, and they're missing out on last week. He's put quite a bit of pressure on himself in fourth spot.
Well, do you think he's gone back to square one in a way? Because obviously he can't help the injury of putting on a shirt, even though how ridiculous it is. Goes out in the Pro Tour early doors, playing again today at the same time. I mean, he was catching a bit of form. You think about Cardiff as well, reaching that final against Luke Littler. Luke Littler was phenomenal. He hit one of the best 9 darters that we are ever going to see televised, period. But what's going through Michael's head right now? Is he thinking, I was on this run, and now it's gone again. I need to go back to the basics.
I think it goes back even further, to be honest, because he was absolutely spellbinding en route to the final of the World Championship, producing a level, in particular against Callan Ridge, that I'll hold my hands up, I didn't realise was there for him right now. But after that, it's just been so inconsistent again. Last year, when we watched him, he was as likely to average in the low 90s as he was over a ton, which you just wouldn't have said about Michael van Gerwen in previous years. But the inconsistencies, the vulnerabilities are there, and he knows it. He's had so many issues with his throw over years, with the surgery he's had to have, and I think this neck injury, is it going to set him back? Is he going to be able to throw properly? Is that going to affect him even more mentally? We will find out, I think, tomorrow when we see him back on a big stage. But I think those vulnerabilities, it stems back further, and it is worrying. We're waiting for him. When was the last time we saw Michael van Gerwen win something and do it with a dominant display from start to finish? When did we see him dominate a field? We just don't see that anymore, because he'll perform admirably in one round and then he's unable to find it more often than not in the subsequent rounds.
Was he quite lucky? Obviously, he would have been watching it from his sofa, or he was spending time with his kids. I know it was young Mike's birthday. I think it's his son's 5th birthday last week, so he probably had a night off of watching the darts. I mean, he's entitled to it at the same time.
That's the thing. He was actually in Berlin. He'd made it to the venue, which makes it
he would have
even more astonishing, doesn't it?
An hour or so before, because when I spoke to Colin about it, and he would have been on the practice board and said he wasn't feeling it. But do you reckon he's kind of like licking his lips in a way? Because you think about Nathan Aspinall and Rob Cross at the same time, who are somewhat closing the gap on the top 4, but going out on their opening matches at the same time, Michael could be thinking, do you know what? I might have gotten away with one here.
I think he definitely will. Obviously, there was nothing he could do. Gerwen Price was going to leapfrog him because of the 2 points he picked up. It was he who got the bye. He was due to face Michael van Gerwen. But yeah, I think it could have been worse, couldn't it, for Michael van Gerwen coming into this one. But he will know he has a heck of a lot of work to do. He is the 7-time Premier League champion. He's won this event more times than anyone else. But you always just expect MVG to kind of coast through the league phase, don't you, and have things relatively easy and get to finals night. But it's not going to be straightforward. I think he knows that it certainly isn't. Stephen Bunting picking up that weekly win last week. He now has a weekly win to his name, and Michael van Gerwen's still waiting for his first. So he'll know that there is so much work to do, especially you look at Nathan Aspinall. The form he is picking up from the Euro Tour triumph, of course, winning his first title and then backing that up with another run to the final. It's not going to be plain sailing for
It's
MVG.
not going to be plain sailing at all. And when that news came out last week, I sort of felt as if a bomb had hit, especially that fourth place, because I think Gezzy's definitely going to get in that third spot. Gezzy will definitely be in the top 4. But you think about those players that are on the cusp of actually getting in there. And let's go on to Nathan Aspinall, because he faces Rob Cross in his opener. Despite his early exit in Berlin last week, finalist at the Euro Tour. He's already got a Euro Tour to his name this season as well. No Pro Tour this week. Obviously, we've seen a lot of players taking a much-deserved rest, and we'll get into that more later on as well. I'm just happy for him. I am. And, I mean, the amount of pelters that he was getting. I mean, bar Littler and Gezzy, he is, without a doubt, one of the best, how can I say, clutch dart merchants in the sense of a ton-plus checkout. Well, I think we saw it against Rob Cross in, I think it might have been in Exeter or Brighton, I can't remember off the top of my head, where Rob was just messing about. It might have been Glasgow. Rob was messing about with the checkout. He was on a double 4, he was on a double 2. Nathan was still on 260. But when Nathan's in that position, my money is on Nathan that he can take out those big numbers. And he prevails near enough every single time. I don't know what it is. Nathan's beaten Rob in his last 7 meetings at the same time as well. And I mean, it's like football in some ways. These droughts are going to end. You can never sort of predict what's going to happen in the darts at the same time. With Rob dropping out of the Euro Tour at the same time as well, not playing at the Pro Tour, does Nathan now have the edge over Rob, who's going to be coming into this about a week of darts?
I think he does, and you look at what he did, Nathan, in Risa as well at the weekend. His bull finishing,
it's ridiculous.
It was honestly Jan van Veen-esque. Jan van Veen, in many people's opinion, the best bull hitter in the world right now. And Nathan Aspinall, what he did against Gerwen Price was absolutely sensational. Another come-from-behind victory. Hit, I think it was a 1-2-1 in the last leg decider on the bull. Absolutely beautiful, and you can just see that confidence is oozing out of him right now. But I thought one thing that was really interesting with Nathan Aspinall, I asked him a few weeks ago on the Premier League about, we talk about him and we talk about this steely determination that he has and his ability to dig in, but we kind of forget that he only returned to action in September from a really serious injury.
Yep.
And I remember on that comeback, he played really well against Darren Beveridge actually on the floor, but performances were slightly inconsistent. And I asked him, when it looked like he was starting to turn a corner a couple of weeks ago, do you feel like you're returning to the peak of your powers in some ways sooner than you expected? And he said, absolutely not. He said, I actually feel behind. I thought I would have reached this high level far sooner in my recovery, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah.
But we do forget that about him, don't we? Where his career was in serious jeopardy. There was a doubt whether he was going to be able to throw darts again. And to be able to get from there to throw in at this level so quickly, it is a testament to the character
especially
he is.
with the stutters at the same time as well. I mean, we speak about coping mechanisms. Yes, Nathan may take a long time to release the dart and his build-up at the same time as well. But as long as Nathan's hitting those crucial numbers and putting on a show, because he's a showman at the same time as well. What have you made of his? It's more of an aggressive approach recently as well. It's like it is purely man on a mission. We're spotting a lot more in the latter rounds of competitions at the Euro Tour. The zip coming down on the target shirt, and I mean, if Nathan Aspinall was coming up during an alleyway and he was looking at that, oh, give you my phone, give you my wallet, I don't care, just take it. Take my house keys, move into my house, I don't care. I think the resilience is something that we've really got to credit with Nathan Aspinall at the moment.
Yeah, I always say as well, there's that turning point in a game where he goes from all smiley, laughing and joking to chewing a wasp. That facial expression is when you know that things are getting serious with the Asp. But look, he has always had that, and he's someone that I have great admiration for, both on and off the hockey. I think the things that he's had to deal with off it certainly help with what he does on the hockey.
Yeah, of course.
And I just think he's such an incredible ambassador for this sport. He is such a great asset. And it is so good to see him getting back to those levels. Look, what he's done as well with his win on the Euro Tour and then backing that up with another final in Riesa, he has eliminated so much pressure that was on his shoulders, because one of the biggest reservations people had when Nathan Aspinall was announced in the lineup for this year's Premier League was that he's outside of the qualifying spots for things like the World Grand Prix. He was going to struggle to get to maybe the European Championship, but he is coasting to those tournaments now because of these victories.
Yeah.
And that's why we're able to see him play with a bit more freedom in events outside of the Premier League. And if you look at his record, I know we harp on about it, or I certainly harp on about it so much, but his record in the Premier League is really, really incredible. 4 previous campaigns, twice he's made finals now. The other 2, he has so agonisingly missed out on making the O2. It's a fantastic record.
Is he going to win a major this year?
Yes. I think he is.
And I'm going to agree with you at the same time
I fully
as well.
believe that he will.
Because I've had the conversation with him at the same time, and he's so bored of speaking about it because it's so many months ago, about his inclusion in the Premier League. And I say it all the time, he's quite literally just shooed those people away. And he's proven why he deserves to be here at the same time. Yes, there's different elements that come in, the showman aspect, the Mr. Bright side, and people say, oh, he's only in it for the walk-on. He's not. And I mean, he's an absolute trooper at the same time as well, especially everything that he's been through with injuries.
Yeah,
Rob,
I do think
go on,
as well,
sorry.
though, just on Nathan Aspinall, where, you know, people were waiting for him to prove something in this Premier League campaign. He's won majors. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He is a phenomenal darts player. There was no need for him to do that. And I found it actually really sad coming into this Premier League campaign, where I asked him in Belfast, you know, how much are you looking forward to reminding people what you're capable of? And he actually wasn't that excited, because he was so fed up and so exhausted.
It was
from
almost like a
reading
witch
the
hunt
stuff.
for a couple of weeks, wasn't it?
And you just think, these people, yes, they're out there to entertain us. Yes, they're out there to earn a living, but they should be able to enjoy this experience as well. People harp on about them being in a privileged position. It's only a privileged position if they're then able to go and enjoy it. And if you take that element away from it, then it becomes a little bit of a chore. And I'm so glad that he's now able to enjoy again.
How's Rob Cross going to be feeling coming into this? Like I've mentioned as well, time away from the hockey since Berlin. He knows what's on the line. We've spoken about how that 4th spot is going to be completely open for the Premier League, and it's going to be interesting who makes the O2 in the playoffs. We know that Rob can put up high numbers, the treble 18 at the same time. His clutch, double 18s check out. We've seen him wilting almost towards the back end of games at the same time. Are we going to see a different style of Rob Cross where he's just going pure firepower? He knows what's on the line.
It's so hard to predict, isn't it? Because we don't know. It's been a bit cloak and dagger, actually, what was wrong with him at the weekend. I mean, I imagine he would have pulled out of the Pro Tours on Tuesday and Wednesday anyway, so I don't read too much into that. But we don't really know why he pulled out. He said he wasn't feeling well, but I don't know whether that's going to have any hangover going into Thursday night. It's impossible to predict. But as you said, we expect big numbers from him. We expect him to go under the radar and to be underappreciated, because Rob Cross always is, isn't he, when he comes into these things? You look at his numbers, he's got a running average of 99 across this Premier League campaign. It really is so spectacular. We're yet to see him reach the levels when he made the final of the Grand Slam in 2023, lost out, of course, to Luke Humphries. That was the level that I'm waiting for him to consistently get back to. Are we on the cusp of seeing it? Possibly. But I give the edge to Nathan in this one.
Right, finally, after 4 weeks, it is here, ladies and gentlemen. We need it. We've been craving it. We have finally got it. Gerwen Price taking on Luke Littler. It's a bit of a homecoming for Luke Littler, even though he's from Warrington, and people from Warrington and people from Manchester won't say that Warrington's in Manchester and stuff like that. He's a Manchester United fan. It's the same with Nathan Aspinall at the same time as well. It's a homecoming, even though that he's from Stockport. Gerwen Price, as we already know, 6 games unbeaten against Luke Littler. He looked absolutely fired up in Berlin, shall I say, by the way. The roars, louder than normal. It was like we had two lions in a cage. He was kept in a cage, yeah, because Michael van Gerwen is on the practice boards, so all that aggression coming out at the same time. Knocked out by Nathan Aspinall in the Pro Tour, and still Gerwen's putting up incredible numbers at the same time. Spoke about his burnout in a little Instagram story off the back of that, playing too much darts at the moment. Should we be worried about Gezi, over the next couple of weeks? Do we expect him to take some time off, or is he just going to keep on with the darts roadshow at the moment?
Do you know what? I'm not worried about him at all. I think coming into 2025, I'll admit I was a little sceptical, because this positive mentality that he's had, trying to look at darts in a different light, trying to enjoy it a bit more, it was all great. He was saying all the right things. He needed to back it up on the dartboard, and I think a positive start to this Premier League campaign was pivotal for Gerwen Price, and he got that. But I think what was more interesting and more intriguing was when he started to lose a couple of games, was that negativity going to creep in again? And the answer was no, emphatically no. Even when he's lost games of late, he's maintained that positive mindset. And I think that is the biggest indicator of where Gerwen Price is right now. He's enjoying his darts. He was unable actually to play in an exhibition a couple of weeks ago because he had a shoulder injury as well. That doesn't seem to be affecting him anymore, because he's gone out, he's won a Pro Tour, he's playing some really good stuff. I'm not worried about him in the slightest, and I think for just the second time, it seems astonishing to say, just the second time in his career, I do think he's going to make finals night. I think this is such an exciting time to be watching Gerwen Price, and isn't this the most intriguing tie to have in Manchester? I'm going to drop it in there. This is the one that Luke Littler has been waiting for, to steal a line from the Stone Roses.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Yeah, this is the one. I mean, if he comes out of a bit of Stone Roses, I'm
begging for it.
Yeah, I want to be adored. It's a bit too slow, but it builds up and it's nicely. But with Gezi, we know how headstrong Gezi is. No one gets inside Gezi's head. Gezi lives rent-free in other people's heads at the same time. Will he be thinking about that number 7, though? How he wants to get that over Luke?
Do you know what? I think he'll be thinking about it, but in all the right ways. He'll be using that as such amazing motivation, because Luke Littler's even mentioned it, hasn't he? Where he's talked about having players in his pocket, but he's gone, I've got X in my pocket, I've got Y in my pocket, I haven't got Gerwen Price in my pocket. And Gezi will absolutely adore that, won't he? Luke Littler, though, I think a number of players coming into this night, if they were in Luke Littler's position, they'd be going, the last player I want to face now on my homecoming is the player. Luke Littler is going to be absolutely relishing it. He is going to want to prove a point. He's going to want to get one over on Gerwen Price on a Premier League stage in front of his adoring fans. I don't know who I favour in this one.
It's so hard to predict at the same time as well. But do you think soaking up that atmosphere for Luke Littler, I mean, even if he's not playing the greatest darts of all time, do you think that atmosphere and that crowd will get him over the line? Or are we going to see another case with what it was like for Gezi, coming into it in the later legs when Rob Cross started wilting in Cardiff? I mean, we don't want the atmosphere to go as flat as a pancake as what it was in Cardiff off the back of Gezi losing. The only thing that lifted it up, with respect to the people of Cardiff, was the 9-darter.
I think it is going to be a belter quarter-final contest. I think for Luke Littler, you can read a lot into his numbers, can't you? The fact that he averaged 93 in Berlin, that was just his second average below 95 in this year's campaign. But I think what's really interesting is what he's done on the floor this week. We were talking before we started recording about whether it was surprising to see him. And I do actually think it's surprising to see him in Leicester, especially I watched his opening game yesterday against Dylan Slevin, and the way he was throwing his darts, so we know he likes to experiment. He wants to keep things fresh. We saw him actually in the final, didn't we, when he won his 4th nightly win. He was releasing the darts differently, and he was saying that was because of tiredness. But we see it all the time when he changes his darts, is to try and keep himself engaged almost. It's like he's challenging himself. He's playing with this game like a cat with a mouse at the moment. But I did find it interesting seeing him on the Pro Tour. His darts were entering the board like Robert Owens.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. So I don't know what he's using these Players' Championship events for at the moment. It's quite hard to work out.
I know a lot of players do actually use the Players' Championship, as you would know, as a warm-up.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, didn't play in the Euro Tour. My worry with Luke Littler, and I spoke about the Stick to Football podcast, and I'm not going to get into that. Away from darts, do you think there's too many external commitments that he's got going on? Because it's not just darts now. I mean, he's a showbiz star at the same time.
I think one of the most difficult things with Luke Littler, and it's, I guess, a blessing and a curse is how well he deals with pressure. You know, I think at the World Championship where we saw that emotion from him up on stage, I think that was such a timely reminder that he is so young and everything he's achieved. Seeing that kind of realization from him in front of our very eyes was that reminder that he's not indestructible. There are going to be moments where he perhaps needs to take a step back. There are moments where we just need to give the guy a bloody break. You know, we need
He's
to
18.
stop. Yeah. I mean, I dread to think what would happen if I was thrust into the limelight at 18 years old. I can guarantee that I wouldn't have handled it this
do
well.
that at 28.
Yeah, but I do think that at some point something is going to have to give with him, because I think it's unsustainable. I have nothing but admiration for the way he operates on the dartboard, the way he commits to things off it as well, the time he gives to people, but I don't think it's sustainable. And I think he's got great support around him, his family, his management, other players. But I also think that dynamic shift that we might see soon, you know, now he's 18 years of age, are people going to change the way they are in the practice room with him?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Well, he's already got a big target on his back at the same time as well. I just don't want it to come to a case. And us as Brits, we do this thing, and it's just part of our culture where we will build someone up so high. And I mean, you think about the World Championships, which will be coming back again in December. If he loses his first game of that opening night, I mean, like I said about building people up and then bringing them back down, he'll be getting dog's abuse, and that is just the way that our some of our minds are, and especially some of the British tabloids at the same time. So we love to absolutely think the world of someone, but just let you remember, you're one of us, by the way.
It's sad, isn't it? Because you want to forget that they're human, or some people want to forget that they're also human beings at the end of it. And I think for Luke Littler, what he's done, regardless of what happens for the rest of 2025 even, why can we not just celebrate what he's done and adore what he is doing for this sport? It's the same when he goes a funky route at the end of a leg. Why can't we just embrace what he's doing for this sport? I absolutely adore watching him, you know, go bull double 10 on a 70 at the World Championship. It's absolutely enthralling. Give us more of it.
Listen, last game, quarter-final. Before we head into the semi-finals, we don't know who's going to head into that just yet. Stephen Bunting versus Luke Humphries. I'm saving the birthday boy until last, because today Stephen Bunting is celebrating his 40th birthday. It's been an incredible week for the Bullet, and I mean, what a build-up to his. What do you even call the 40th birthday? It's just a special birthday, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing. It's like a 21st. It's just another. You're going into another decade, Stephen. Congratulations, nightly winner in Berlin, Euro Tour at the same time as well. Even if you're not a Stephen Bunting fan, you have to give credit to the man and what he's done, because do you know what? A lot of people would have predicted that he wasn't going to win a night, especially how it started in those opening 8 weeks at the same time. Is this the catalyst? I mean, we speak about how open this fourth spot is going to be at the same time, and I mean, it's like the Grand National in one way. Stephen Bunting could be right at the end, struggling. Couple more hurdles to go. He's right there at the front. Don't sleep on him.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because of what's happened over the last 8 weeks, you kind of forget or stop talking about the form he'd been in prior to the Premier League campaign. Semi-finalist of the World Championship, won in Bahrain, made the final of the Dutch Darts Masters before the quarter-finals at the World Masters. He was the man in form coming into this Premier League campaign. I backed him to make the top 4 before a dart had been thrown in this campaign. We focus so much on the numbers he's thrown, and I do think that if you jumbled the numbers up, jumbled the nights up a bit, yes, he would have picked up points more often than not over the first 8 weeks. But when you delve a little bit more into those numbers, yes, his averages have been high, but they've been mainly scoring averages because he's had so many fewer darts at double than other players in the field, or he had until last week anyway. So it had been more about his scoring. Now his doubling, which was fantastic last week, by the way, now that he's got that in conjunction, I firmly believe this could be a catalyst. He also, what makes this tie even tastier, is that he beat Luke Humphries en route to his nightly win and then en route to the Euro Tour title, which hit an 11 darter, I think, to come through that one in the end. So that adds a little bit of spice to this one, doesn't it?
Does it add a bit of spice at the same time? Because obviously Luke Humphries' record is not good against him. He's his training partner at the same time as well. Humphreys, is he going to be coming into this being like, I can't catch a break against Stephen Bunting at the moment?
Also, Stephen Bunting up to 4th in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable achievement. If he can stay there, then he's a shoe-in for next year's Premier League already, as long as the PDC don't change the qualifying criteria, of course. But yeah, it's such an interesting one. For Luke Humphreys, of course, I know we're going to go into it more, but coming in off the back of what happened at the weekend as well, we don't know what he's going to do on the Pro Tour, but I think this could be incredibly interesting coming into it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Stephen Bunting going on another run this Thursday.
Well, you mentioned, we've spoken about it so much this week, it's been the biggest topic in darts of Luke Humphreys' comments off the back of Risa, saying that darts felt like a chore at the moment, and who's to blame? We all have our opinions on it, and I mean, in my opinion, there's a right and a wrong opinion about it. I mean, opinions are subjective, everyone's got them. The same as other things that people have got, everyone knows the same. But, I mean, Luke at the same time, he's playing in the Pro Tour, and it just, when I flicked it on yesterday and I saw his name there, I did sigh a little bit and just be like, why are you doing this? Kick your feet up, lad. Seriously, take a break. And, I mean, I think it's probably the worst week that he might have had. He's had his other anxieties before in the past, but the pile-on that he's got, I think, was just poor.
Yeah, I just think it's incredibly sad more than anything. What Luke Humphreys has done to normalise the conversation surrounding mental health and emotions is so, so vital. It is so important, that work that he is doing, selflessly doing, putting himself out there in the firing line, which he shouldn't be in the firing line for doing this. He is talking openly about these struggles, and that is going to help so many people going forward. And I think what he's done with what he said to Philip Brzezinski up on stage at the Euro Tour, the pile-on that has followed just further highlights how far we have to go as a society when it comes to mental health, because the things that people have mentioned off the back of it, things like the amount he's earning, the job he's got, the privileged position he's in, they have absolutely no bearing whatsoever on your mental well-being.
Exactly.
We all have mental well-being, whether you have a mental illness or not. We all have mental wellness. We all have mental, health.
Yeah.
And I just think what he is doing is so crucial, so important, and it just highlights that as a society we need to be doing more. We need to be working harder to ensure that people understand what is going on. If somebody has just said they are feeling a certain way, we listen, we empathise, we try and work to ensure that people don't feel that way. And I think as someone who has had issues with their mental health, that feeling, he mentioned the word emptiness.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who has experienced the numbness that comes with mental illness, that emotionless, that apathy that you feel, it is terrifying because you know where that can lead. He's not saying he's at crisis point right now, but he'll know the journey that can follow if you don't work to rectify something.
Exactly.
There's a starting point, and if it's left to manifest, if it's left to fester, it can lead to a much deeper and darker route. And he's speaking to try and A, help other people, and B, talk about his emotions and his feelings. And I think it's disgusting. I don't think there's even a need for an opinion on this matter because it's black and white.
I think it's like the same time as well. I've spoken openly on my own YouTube channel. I've spoken openly on this. I take citalopram every single day. I suffer with depression, anxiety. I mean, I was diagnosed in my early 20s. Took me years to find it out. Before doing this, I was obviously I struggled and stuff like that. If I got £50 million dropped into my bank account, I know Luke's got a lot of money at the same time as well. I still have the same issues. Yeah. I mean, money isn't the cure, and I think that's what people need to get into their heads at the same time. He's not a robot. He's a human being. He has emotions. He knows what it is. He knows what it means. He used to be a roofer. He knows what it means to live for the weekend and work hard. And now is a phenomenal darts player at the same time. So I think the people need to remember, some of the people are the same people that as soon as he does some really nice things, tonight is going to be, he was helping out this lad called Alex McGarry who was getting bullied in school, who suffers from autism. And people leave comments and say, class act, unbelievable, class act. But as soon as Luke Humphries talks about money and his own mental health, nah, you're overpaid, too much. All you're doing is throwing some darts. I'm going to say this straight up. Get a grip. I don't care if people say I'm woke or I have the wrong opinion on something like that. But seriously, the bloke is speaking about his emotions and how he's feeling, how burnt out he is at the same time. Respect it.
Absolutely. I just don't think, and do you know what, him coming out and saying, I understand where he's coming from, where he said, right, I won't do that again then. We can all act like robots, we'll all be exactly the same, and you'll get nothing from us. I just don't understand how you can feel anything other than sadness when you see that.
Yeah, I agree.
This guy has done something so selfless. He's trying to help others. He's talking about how he's feeling. We're all encouraged to do that. I speak about mental health. Aside from sport, mental health is my other main passion. Trying to get parity of esteem is one of the things that I work quite tirelessly to achieve. But why are we not at least at a stage where you can accept that mental health doesn't discriminate? It doesn't matter. We should be using Luke Humphries and what he's going through, A, to check that he's all right, and B, to prove that it doesn't matter whether you are in a job that you love, you adore, you have a family that absolutely dotes on you and you dote on them, but mental health does not care. It doesn't give a damn. It is going to impact you. And I think the sooner that people wake up and see that and realise that you're proving that you are willfully ignorant. You're doing no more than proving that you are willfully ignorant. There is enough information out there for you to realise that what you are saying is wrong.
Well, all I hope for is, obviously, we know that Luke Humphries is a phenomenal darts player at the same time. Current world number one. He's a world champion. 7 PDC titles at the same time as well. He's an unbelievable bloke. Of course, I got biased towards Luke Humphries. I just hope he gets the rest that he deserves. People just, have a better look on what he's all about at the same time. Like I mentioned before, everyone will have their annual leave. Everyone will get burnt out. He's just speaking out about it because the schedule is mental. Right, the table going into it then. Luke Littler, I should say, sorry. Still number one spot going into Manchester. Luke Humphries at number 2. Gerwen and Price from last week up to number 3. Michael van Gerwen down to 4th. It's getting very interesting with Rob Cross at 5th. Nathan Aspinall at 6th. Chris Dobby at 7th. And Stephen Bunting at the bottom. But listen, Abigail, thank you very much. Cannot wait to see what happens in Manchester for Premier League Darts Night 10. Thank you for watching this preview with Village Hotels from the Pub and Grill in their Cheadle location. Get yourself down to your nearest Village Hotel. Come down for the darts. Come down for the football. Come down for the food. My God, is it good. Come down for the perfect night of sport at Village Hotels. Visit www.villagehotels.com for more information.
All right.
Oh, what have we got here?
Lovely, best-selling buffalo chicken wrap.
Come on
We're doing
now.
a vegan adaptation of your Get Shredded bowl there with crispy tofu.
Beautiful. Thank you very
Would you
much.
just take a look at this at the same time? I mean, what I've got to say is I have this every single Village Hotel that I go to. It's best performer, and I love it so much.
Get your
That's
eyes
at the
off
same
mine.
time. I could have 2.